What's up, Panther Nation? We're back today with another video. Keep pounding. So let's talk about these first round of cuts. And we have the veterans, Cameron Artis-Payne, Heineke, Lorenzo Doss, Adric Robinson, and long snapper Andrew DePola. Now, I don't know much about DePola, so I'm not going to comment on him. So, let's talk about Cameron Artis-Payne. We'll get to Heineke in a minute. Cameron Artis-Payne has had at least 2 years in the system, has had time, and it's not really a surprise to see him get cut or put on the practice squad, as I think he will be put after this cut. He has the quickness, he has the speed, he just hasn't been getting it done. And I don't know if that's really a slight against him, necessarily skill-wise, as much as it is the offensive line not opening up blocks for him. But, even with the Steelers game on Thursday, you still expected him to get some decent yards out of it. But he didn't, so let's talk about Lorenzo Doss. Now, Lorenzo Doss was my favorite for the last 2 minutes of the Steelers game. This dude was everywhere during that Steelers game. I'm still not sure why he got cut. I'm kind of at a loss as to why he got cut. I thought he would stick around for a little bit, but possibly into those last 13 cuts, I thought he would still be there, but eventually cut and not make the 53. But that's a bit of a surprise. Andrew Robinson, you kind of expected not to make the cut. He was good, but he just didn't get enough catches, didn't impress the coaches enough to get the cut. So, not a surprise there. And like I said, we'll get back to Heineke in a little bit. So let's talk about the waive list. Brandon Bell. Linebacker Brandon Bell. I wasn't thrilled with Bell either, to be honest. I think, under the circumstances, the linebackers really got tested in this preseason. And you either make it or you don't. And I see that Antoine Williams didn't make the cut either. And I thought Williams did better than he did, actually. I was very impressed with Antoine Williams. So, that being said, they're both gone. Now, practice squad, typically we have one linebacker, one tight end, one running back, maybe a quarterback, and 2 wide receivers, at least. And maybe an offensive lineman and a defensive end. That's typically your 10-man list for the practice squad. So I would not be surprised to see Antoine Williams make that list. I wouldn't be surprised to see Cameron Artis-Payne make that list either. So, and I think Heineke will be on the practice squad. I believe so, unless he's picked up by someone. So, you go into guard position. Tyler Catalina. I'm really happy with management on cutting him. Wise decision. Very, very wise decision. This guy, he looked awful. He looked awful against the Steelers. And you're talking about the second string, third string, fourth string depth chart Steelers going up against this guy. A bunch of average defensive ends, bunch of average linebackers, bunch of average people that are putting pressure on the quarterback. Really? The amount of missed blocks against the Steelers, I can't tell you how happy I am with this decision. The fact that we are weeding out guards and tackles that are not getting it done makes me happy. In particular, him. Taylor Hearn, the other guard that I was not thrilled with. Wise decision. Could not be happier, guys. Great job, management. Both of these guys were a liability, and you have to weed these guys out. You really do. You want the best set of linemen, first, second, and third string, that you could possibly put out there for that 53-man roster. After that point, it's a wash. Because you don't expect that many injuries to happen to where you have to go that far down the depth chart. So you have to weed out those first, second, and third depth chart spots for guard and tackle position, and in particular center. Because you have to make sure you get the best guys making that cut. Otherwise, you're in trouble going into the regular season. Moving on to center position, you got Parker Collins that got cut. I didn't really see that much of him, so I'm not really that concerned about that. Center Tyler Yarborough, again, didn't see much of him, so I didn't really get a chance to judge him. Then you move on to the wide receivers. And we got four wide receivers on the list, actually. Rashad Ross, Jaden Mickens. Mickens, not a surprise that he didn't stick. I never expected him to stick. He was mostly a return man, punt return man, and kick return. That's mostly what we had him for. You put him out there for a couple of passes, see how he does. Don't expect much. Lavrone, wasn't impressed by him either. Juan Pierre, or John Pierre, however you choose to pronounce his last name, not a surprise there either. I didn't see enough catches from him, or enough to really show me that he should be on that 53-man roster either. So, no surprises there. So then you go into tight end, Jason Vanderleen. This is the man that surprises me this cut series here, because Jason Vanderleen, it surprises me, but at the same time it doesn't. And let me tell you why. It surprises me because I liked his hands, I liked his route running ability, I liked his speed. All of that is good, all well and good. But when he goes to try to block screens, pass block, run block, he just does not have the skills yet for that. And it was evidence during that Pittsburgh game. You could see it. He missed some blocks on a screen, on a couple of screens actually, and a few short passes, and a few sweep plays. So, bearing that in mind, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised at the same time at that cut right there. And I think he will end up on the practice squad. So that's my guess right now. Then you've got Cole Hunt. Didn't see much of him, so not a surprise there. Moving on to the defense, Woodrow Hamilton. Hamilton was a huge surprise to me. I'm surprised he got cut. I thought he was going to hang around a little bit longer. He looked really good in the past two preseason games. He didn't really light it up against the Bills, but that's considering everybody did bad against the Bills. Everybody, realistically. So you have to really stand out if you want to make this cut. Point evidenced by Corn Elder there. at corner. You've seen about 2 or 3 years of him, and you're thinking, okay, well, he's good, but he's not what we're looking for. You know, he's not quite there yet. That's fair. You know, Ryan Pulley we didn't see much of, but that's fair as well. He kind of struggled with coverage issues, and occasionally he would miss a tackle, but no big deal there. So you start hunting into the waived and injured list. You got Kofi Amachia, the guard. I was wondering why he struggled, man. I didn't know he was injured. I had no idea he was injured. That entire time he was playing, he looked okay, but he just struggled. Everybody struggled with their footwork, with their hands. Just it looked like a disaster, and that's coaching. That is 100% coaching, as well as these guys not putting forth the proper execution and effort that you like to see, strength wise. So I'd like to see these guys go through some drills, go through some extra stuff. Earn your spot, man. Earn your spot in the depth chart, because you got to have a solid set of guys, again, on the offensive line to protect your QB. You got to, and open up holes for your running back. It's a necessity. You build your franchise around the offense and defensive lines. If those aren't solid, you're in trouble. Damian Parms, I was not aware that he got injured either. So hopefully that injury isn't that extensive. I think, what was it, he twisted his foot or something? Wasn't that the player that did that? Y'all correct me in the comments if I'm mistaken about that, but I think that was the same one. But Parms, yeah, he struggled in preseason anyway, and I think he'll probably make practice squad. I don't have high expectations for him right at the moment, but I did expect him to really put forth an effort in preseason, and he sort of did not, but on the plays that he messed up on, he did recover, so I'll give him that. Injury reserve, you got Kid O'Brien, the guard. What a mess. And I have to say, looking at this list, you still got Graham Gano, who's going to be out for the year. Here's the main event of this conversation right here in this video. You got Graham Gano out for the year. You got Sly, who does not have a contract with us right now. So you have to make a decision there. You still got the trade rumor of Treadwell going around, and the Jags interested in him. So you have to make a decision there pretty soon on what you're going to do. And Taylor Heinicke. Now, a lot of fans are saying that they think Will Grier is better than Taylor. And I think that's a debate worth having. Because, honestly, if I were to say which one is better, and this is taking training camp into consideration, I would have to say even playing ground right now. Even. Because both of them have positives and negatives. You've got You got Will Greer, who's been overthrowing long passes, but you've also got Taylor, who's been underthrowing a lot of passes and making critical mistakes at moments where it could really hurt him and the team offensively. Um, Evidenced by the Steelers game, you can take into consideration that interception that he had and a couple of those forced passes that you'd really like to see him have those back and try those again and just see where he decides to throw it. Other than those spots, you know, right now, Will Greer, he's got issues as well. I mean, let's not sugarcoat that. But Taylor Heinicke has been in this system for long enough now that, you know, he finally made a resurgence in those last two preseason games. But before that, practice squad guy. 2-3 years now, practice squad. He's had plenty of time. And now he's a late bloomer. He's a really late bloomer. Let's put it that way. In that specific term. Late bloomer. Meanwhile, Will Greer is, you know, it's his first year. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a tough call for me. I would have to really look at the tapes and really look at how much of a impact those weaknesses can have on your offense versus the strengths and how that could impact the game if these guys are in. You know, we have the Cam out and the second stringer out. You know, so it will either be Greer or it'll be Taylor coming in, which is very, very realistic considering how bad our O-line is and how much we've had to deal with backup quarterbacks in the past 2 to 3 years with injuries at the quarterback position. And you know, you have to factor that in. You have to factor in the fact that these guys are starting. They're trying to throw passes against starting corners, starting safeties, starting linebackers. You know, you got to factor a whole ton of things in. So it's not easy just reading this at face value and just looking at the stats and going, oh, this person has better stats, so they must be better. It's not that simple, folks. It's not. When you really dive into the quarterback battle, it is never that simple. Same with wide receivers. Same with corners. Same with a lot of these positions. You can't just take it at face value and say, oh, well, the stats over Y. The stats over Y. You know, this isn't baseball, folks. This is football. You never want to take these things at face value. Baseball, sure, you can do that with, but football, It's never that simple. Go back and look at some of these tapes, man. Re-look at these weaknesses. How will they affect starting offenses? How would they affect our starting offense? You know, with everybody in and him as a backup coming in with injuries. How does that weaken us? How does that strengthen us? That's how you would go about starting to really look at this matchup a different way. Of who deserves to be on this team at the 53-man roster. And I do not envy the coaches. They have a very, very difficult decision to make going forward. You know, I can anticipate a few cuts going forward here, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I have about a half dozen names that I think will be cut tomorrow, but I'm not going to be surprised if I see some other ones too, because that is always what happens. You're always going to be upset with somebody that gets cut every year going into that 53-man roster cuts. Who is it for you? You know, a lot of people will say it's Taylor Heinicke. For me, I haven't reached that point yet. I haven't found my player yet that I really, really adamantly want to defend. And I'm surprised that he got cut. Or shocked. But that'll probably happen tomorrow. So if that does happen tomorrow, be expecting that part of the video to be really, really a little bit longer than the rest of it. And expect me to go into a little bit of detail with that. You know, not too much detail, but you know, expect me to dive into it more than I normally would. Anyway, that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you don't miss any new content. Leave a comment down below if you feel like doing so. And let's get that number up to 350 subscribers. How about it? How about hitting that share button? Send these videos out to people you think would like to see it. And thank you. A huge, huge thank you to everybody that stuck around and has been loyal and supporting this channel. And to the Roaring Riot in particular. And Ross Cockrell, who gave us that promotional video. Thank you very much. Everybody that's given information to me for this channel, thank you a million times over, because you guys are the reason this channel exists still and is where it is right now. I'm so happy with you guys sticking around, and I hope you do for more videos. Anyway, have a great day and keep pounding.